Thank you, Ferris, and thank you all for being here. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Today we're going to talk about scaling Bitcoin. And it will build on what Ferris said, growing Bitcoin and scaling the Bitcoin network. And I use that term very loosely. The Bitcoin network is not just the blockchain. It's also the social layer. It's the people that are using Bitcoin, whatever their values and their principles and their goals and intentions. So we scale Bitcoin by making it more accessible. And there are many things that go into that. Maybe we can start with the presentation already. Yeah, next slide. Here at Crypto Hub Malta, we've already talked about Bitcoin at length. The monetary aspects of Bitcoin, how the blockchain works, and how the Lightning Network works, what the Lightning Network is. People here may be new to the Lightning Network. They may not be familiar. The Lightning Network is a second layer network that you can use to send and receive Bitcoin instantly, basically for free. It is one of the great reasons why Bitcoin will reach its next stage of adoption. However, it does require an onboarding process. You have to use the blockchain to get to the Lightning Network. Can we go next slide? Yeah. Don't leave me here. So the presentation will be part contextual and part practical. We'll talk about the challenges that we face to scale Bitcoin and how this relates to other disruptive technologies that have come through our time. And that leads us to our mission statement, keeping Bitcoin accessible, economical, and inclusive throughout its adoption. Then I'll go through some more practical things that I'm doing with Nodescope, a low-fee Lightning exchange, and how to self-custody Bitcoin on Lightning. The first thing we need to consider is that Bitcoin is a decentralized alternative to central banking. A centralized alternative to central banking doesn't really work. It's oxymoronic, it's a contradiction. So that decentralization becomes our new constraint. And a decentralized movement happens to encounter three major obstacles in its adoption course. You have a bureaucracy layer that you have to deal with, a knowledge barrier that you have to deal with, and an economical layer that we have to deal with. Here at Malta, we should be very grateful, and we should celebrate our privilege to live in a country that's crypto-friendly and exploit this opportunity. There's a knowledge aspect, but everyone here, people talking about Bitcoin, online, in person, so many great resources to learn about Bitcoin, that is also going away. Good ideas stick around, we learn from bad ideas, and over time, best practices get known. There's also an economical layer, and that is mainly what I will focus on today. We are the economical layer here. Free market incentives work when people choose better alternatives, and that's their own incentive. So what does it mean to economize Bitcoin? Well, the major constraint here is block space. Let's start with economize. Economize means to utilize to best advantage. That only makes sense if you have scarcity. You don't economize some things that exist in abundance. So what is the scarcity element here? This is the blockchain from 9 years ago, a time where block space was abundant. There was more supply than was needed. There was not enough demand. So you can see here, this block was not filled. That block was filled, that was nearly empty. There was no need to economize block space here. Over time, demand grows, blocks get full, you need to economize Bitcoin. And how do we fit into this? Well, a Bitcoin transaction is data, and that data needs to fit in that block. And you pay for that. People bid up their transaction fees to find room in the blockchain. So finding ways to economize Bitcoin is your own incentive. You don't want to be exposed to big transaction fees in order to access Bitcoin. This is the state of the network today. Blocks are consistently full. There's long queues to get in the network, and transaction fees can get pretty high. This is quite old. Transaction fees are not that high at the moment, which is good news. But you shouldn't bet it will always be that way. So this is what I'm talking about here. We have block space that is scarce, and we have a perfectly inelastic supply. This is what we talk about, perfect inelastic supply in economics. We have block space that is fixed. The blockchain is what it is. We have blocks that are mined at regular frequency, and they are of regular size. That is standardized. When demand goes up, it pushes the price up, and that forces us to economize, to adjust and adapt. And that's how we keep Bitcoin accessible. That's how we keep Bitcoin inclusive. This is not new in technology. When you have disruptive technologies, it's not easily accessible. It's new, it's limited, production is limited, and it's expensive. But over time, technology improves, things get more accessible, and more people can use it. We all use these disruptive technologies today, and we take it for granted. And this is how the adoption curves take place. We have tech enthusiasts and visionaries, and then somewhere along the lines you find your limitation. You hit what's called a chasm before you can go to the next stage of Bitcoin adoption. And that's where we are at the moment. As I said, block space is full, mempool queues are long, and transaction fees are high. For those of you who don't know what a Bitcoin transaction looks like, I think this is a nice visualization. Bitcoin transactions are like digital cash, like physical banknotes. Bitcoin doesn't use an account-based model, it uses a UTXO-based model, and basically what that means is you have inputs and you have outputs. One way you can optimize Bitcoin transactions is by batching transactions. Instead of sending money and getting change and then sending money again, you can give money to various people at the same time. This is what exchanges normally use. Most major exchanges batch transactions to their clients, and you can do this too. But you should be wise to it. You know, if you're receiving Bitcoin every week, every month, you're going to have a long list of Bitcoin, a fat stack of banknotes, paper. You should consolidate that if that is a problem that you currently have. But this is an expense that you're incurring. Your exchange is incurring transaction costs when it's receiving Bitcoin and then sending it to you, and then you're consolidating that Bitcoin, and then you're maybe selling it or spending it again, maybe moving it to cold storage. So there are a lot of transactions that you are doing here. When you buy Bitcoin, when you use Bitcoin, and when you have limited block space, that's not a scalable solution. And this is what Nodescope is intending to fix. Nodescope is a new project that I started some months ago. And there are three parts to Nodescope. Firstly, there's an educational source. I have my own articles and I will refer to other educational resources, many great educational resources that you can use to learn about Bitcoin and how to use Bitcoin, and some things you should keep in mind when using Bitcoin. We also have a low-fee exchange. This is a non-custodial exchange, and we have very low fees. Your first 500 euros will be free every year, and then after that, the commission rate goes up to 1.3%, which eventually goes down to under 1%. So you should compare this to the fees that you're incurring wherever you're buying Bitcoin today. You can do this without KYC. We have no KYC limits, Swiss limits of 1,000 Swiss francs per day, or 15,000 Swiss francs per month, or 100,000 Swiss francs per year. This is not a decentralized exchange, it's a centralized exchange. The KYC obligations were done when you got your own bank account. Your first transaction is withheld for 7 days. You receive your Bitcoin on the 8th day. The exchange rate is logged in when they receive the money. So how does this work? Basically, you buy Bitcoin, you can DCA, you can stack sats, you can transfer to cold storage, and you can do this over and over again using the Lightning Network. You avoid having to pay for transaction fees every time you buy Bitcoin. You avoid having to consolidate your transactions. And you can really simplify this process. And you can do the whole process in self-custody. You don't have to rely on custodians. The Bitcoin gets sent straight to your own wallet. Low commission fees, delivery over Lightning. So you go on the website and you can get a rough idea of how much Bitcoin you're going to get for how much money you're going to send. It's just a calculator, it's just an indication at this stage. Then all you have to do is verify your address, where you're going to receive your Bitcoin. Over Lightning, this is very simple. You just send one Satoshi, a fraction of a cent. You write in your address, and you send one Satoshi to that wallet. So Satoshi is a small denomination of Bitcoin. One Sat is just a fraction of a cent. This is a process you can also do on-chain, although the benefits of this are less so, obviously. You can do that by signing a message, if you know what that means or how to do it. Or otherwise, you can send, again, a small amount of Bitcoin. Once that's done, you get bank transfer details. This is how you know where to send money and the reference code to include. This is assigned to your wallet details. So you don't have to do this again. This is a one-time thing. Anytime you send money with those details, the exchange will know to send you your money to that address. If you want some new details, maybe a new wallet, you can just repeat this process again. Now, if you're using the Lightning Network, you need to onboard yourself. You need to give yourself a presence on the Lightning Network. And you use that by running a Lightning node. There are progressions to this. You can start off using Lightning with a custodian. There are many great Lightning custodians, but it's a custodian. Your funds are at risk. You have privacy limitations. You can also have various Lightning nodes on your own phone. However, you have other limitations. Your phone is not always online. You're restricted in what channels you can open and how well you can manage your Lightning node. This is really, though, how we economize Bitcoin. Before, running a Bitcoin node was about making Bitcoin more decentralized, maybe a fun project, maybe it had privacy benefits. Today, it allows you to run Bitcoin over Lightning, use the Lightning Network without a custodian, and enjoy those benefits. The privacy benefits, because transactions are not shared on a public ledger, and also the economic incentives of not having to pay for fees. Our Lightning nodes will be shipped with a simple user interface, allowing you to see how much Bitcoin you have and the states of your wallet. And you can automate this using various plugins that are already pre-installed. It will ship with Bitcoin Core and Core Lightning pre-installed. You'll have Tor, so you'll have access to your Bitcoin anywhere you go. On your mobile phone, you'll be able to sync it with a client like Zeus. And you'll have LM-Bit, so you'll be able to onboard other people potentially over Bitcoin or have segregated wallets. You can have a card that links to your wallet, and it's not going to be able to access your entire funds. You can have it access a small amount of funds. Also, various plugins that allow you to back up your funds, perhaps on a different device, automate channel management, and have watchtowers. Watchtowers are other nodes that safeguard your Bitcoin if, in case, your node goes offline. These are some specs, and we aim to bring this down to under 200 euros, which is a very competitive price compared to the market. And you'll get these costs back just by not having to pay for transaction fees. You can learn more about Notescope on my website. I think now's a good time to open up for questions. Is that okay?